Good evening, you're watching the Friday edition of Breaking Views. I'm Rishika Baruah. Mountains of cash, kilos of gold jewellery, gold bars, luxury cars, diamond rings, property papers. All of this unearthed by the Enforcement Directorate in connection with the ex-TMC leader and Minister Partha Chatterjee and his close aide Arpita Mukherjee. It's the story that has been the talk of the town. Tonight on Breaking Views, we take you inside the Enforcement Directorate's biggest ever cash haul as we decode Bengal's cash for jobs scam and what this means for the West Bengal government and most importantly, what does it mean for protesting students. First, let's take you inside the Enforcement Directorate's biggest ever cash haul. What have they found so far? 50 crores in cash and counting, gold bars worth 2 crore rupees, 5 kgs of gold jewellery that actually weighs 5 kg, gold jewellery, 1 white Mercedes car, sale deed papers for several flats in different posh areas of Kolkata. And now the Enforcement Directorate sources tell NDTV that they're also on the lookout for an Audi A4 car, a Honda City, a Honda CRV and a Mercedes which they believe is believed to be laden with cash. They haven't found this yet, but when they do, we will of course bring you up to speed with it. So what really is this scam? The Enforcement Directorate claims that money was paid in exchange for jobs in government schools under the School Service Commission, the SSC. That's why it's called the SSC scam. The scam dates back to 2016 when Partha Chatterjee was the Education Minister. The Enforcement Directorate claims that he directly received cash and other forms of bribe, as you can see, in terms of those jewelries, gold bars, diamond rings, etc. He essentially got these bribes for giving teaching and non-teaching positions in government schools. Now, all of this cash, this 50 crore and counting, this kilos of gold, etc., doesn't augur well for Mamata Banerjee's otherwise frugal image, does it? So who really is Partha Chatterjee in the scheme of things when it comes to Mamata Banerjee? How much does this hurt the West Bengal government? Partha Chatterjee was an important figure in the TMC. He's actually among the top rung of TMC leaders. He was a close aide of Mamata Banerjee who handled all of her party affairs. He was in fact her troubleshooter, known as the organization man of the party. So if there was any inter-party conflict or intra-party conflict, it was Partha Chatterjee who was actually Mamata Banerjee's go-to person. Out of respect, she used to call him Partho Da. He was also the chairman of the disciplinary committee within the Trinamool Congress. So while he's been sacked, removed from his ministerial position, sacked from all party positions, this is a story that indeed does hurt Mamata Banerjee as well as the Trinamool government in West Bengal. Now on to the latest in the investigation. There was massive drama today as Partha Chatterjee and Arpita Mukherjee were taken for their routine medical exam. This is something that's a part and parcel of the process as far as the ED is concerned, but they were seen kicking and screaming quite literally. They will remain in the Enforcement Directorate custody till at least the 3rd of August. There was a massive crowd at the hospital and a wailing Arpita Mukherjee was first seen refusing to exit the car. She literally had to be dragged out of the car. All of this as Partha Chatterjee was also taken in a wheelchair for his medical exam and he was heard telling the press that he is a victim of a conspiracy. Be that as it may, ED sources say we can expect many more seizures of unexplained wealth. Take a look.
The first pictures of Arpita Mukherjee since Wednesday. After refusing to get out of her car, she had to be almost lifted by security personnel. Wailing, the 30-year-old at the heart of the sensational cash and gold haul in Kolkata was taken to a hospital for a medical checkup by the Enforcement Directorate. Along with Partha Chatterjee, top minister in Mamata Banerjee's government till his sacking on Thursday. The former state education minister is accused of taking bribes for the recruitment of teachers and staff in state-run schools. A protest was held today by those who say they were hit the hardest. Cash and gold amounting to at least 50 crores have been seized from 2 flats in Arpita's name. Taken for a medical checkup today, Chatterjee claimed he was a victim in the case but didn't specify details. But Arpita's interrogation has reportedly led to more and more seizures. Sources in the Enforcement Directorate say they are looking for 4 cars owned by Arpita: an Audi A4, a Mercedes, a Honda City and a Honda CR-V, allegedly loaded with cash, say sources in the agency. The probe agency is now scanning CCTV footage and conducting multiple raids to locate these vehicles. Sources indicate that a senior IAS official in the Bengal government is also under the scanner. Both the ex-minister and his close aide, an actor and social media content creator, are now back at the Kolkata ED office after their hospital visit. More seizures of unexplained wealth can be expected.
Well, interestingly, the Enforcement Directorate sources have also told us that Arpita Mukherjee is now, in fact, key to this investigation. Why? Because she is cooperating with the Enforcement Directorate and providing key leads in this investigation against Partha Chatterjee. Sources even say that it is on the basis of information that they've got from her that the agency has made its second set of recovery. So what really has Arpita Mukherjee told the Enforcement Directorate? Take a look at this report.
Enforcement Directorate sources suggest that Arpita Mukherjee is singing like a canary. Enforcement Directorate leaks reveal that Arpita is cooperating and giving the Enforcement Directorate crucial ammunition against Partha Chatterjee. Arpita Mukherjee has reportedly claimed that Partha Chatterjee used to stash money at her homes and treat it like a mini bank. Sources say Mukherjee has told the Enforcement Directorate that all the money used to be stashed in rooms that only Partha Chatterjee and his people entered. Sources also say that she claims that the minister used to visit her home every week or every once in 10 days. She claimed, according to sources, that the minister never revealed how much money was involved. Sources also say that Arpita has even admitted that the money came from kickbacks. Arpita Mukherjee's lawyers are likely to deny ED claims at the next hearing. Her lawyers have even hit out at the agency for leaking details of their investigation to the media. Be that as it may, Arpita for now seems to have spilled the beans on Partha Chatterjee. With Arvind Gunasekar and Saurabh Gupta, Rishika Baruah, NDTV.
Now, the sensational details of this scam aside, there is a very real human cost to this multi-crore scam as well. That is the students. Students whose jobs were sold to less deserving people for money. NDTV, of course, has spoken with a whole bunch of students who've now embarked on this 500-day dharna to protest against the government. And we will, of course, be bringing you those voices as well, as, of course, students have taken to the streets. And they say that, they want justice to be served because, well, deserving students were ripped off their opportunities for jobs because they were sold essentially at a price to less deserving ones. Joining us on Breaking Views tonight is Babul Chandra Sinha. He is an affected student by the SSC scam that we've been reporting on. We will, of course, get a word from him very quickly, but we also have Pratim Bose, senior journalist, with us. Saurav Sikdar, leader of the BJP in West Bengal, and Saket Gokhale, national spokesperson of the Trinamool Congress. Thank you all very much for being with us. Babul Chandra Sinha, I want to begin by asking him, Babul, what can you tell us about what happened and how you're feeling about this whole scam? 500 दिन का प्रोटेस्ट जो है आप लोगों ने प्लान किया है, you're out on the streets. आप हमको क्या बता सकते हैं, क्या हुआ था?
At the beginning point, I want to say that we are deprived merit-listed candidates in West Bengal. In 2016, we have passed an examination, SLST examination, which is organized by School Service Commission. In that examination, we have passed, but we did not get job. Already, who didn't passed or who didn't sit on examination, they are still doing jobs in schools. This is the great scam.
So, the money aspect of it aside, the fact that there has been this huge amounts of cash and jewelry that has been unearthed, the other very important aspect, Babul, that you're highlighting in a certain sense is that there are less deserving candidates who are in place in SSC affiliated schools in West Bengal today because they perhaps spent a sum of money to buy these jobs. So the people who actually sat for those exams, who passed them, who deserve these jobs, don't currently have them. What is your status currently? Did you sit for this particular exam? What happened?
Yes. Actually, who is money is recovering days after days. Those actually bribes. Actually, the merit listed candidates deprived and who already not passed and actually not sit in examination. They are doing examination. They are doing actually jobs in schools.
Yes.
We are in 502 days in this demonstration.
Okay.
In Kolkata near Mayor Road, and
you're going to continue. You're going to continue this demonstration. What are you demanding from the government?
We are demanding our jobs.
You're demanding your jobs. Saket Gokhale, do you very quickly want to respond to some of what Babul Chandra Sinha has said? He's clearly impacted by this. Now there's this 500-day protest, and what they care about not so much is what the ED does with Partha Chatterjee and what happens to all of that cash and gold which has really gripped the entire nation's attention, but they just want their jobs back.
No, absolutely. And at the outset, let me say that I completely empathize and sympathize with Mr. Sinha and all the others who would have faced injustice, in terms of getting a job under the SSC. In fact, earlier today, the Trinamool Congress's National General Secretary Abhishek Banerjee even visited the protesters, spoke to them and assured them of timely action. The Chief Minister of West Bengal has also said that we are right now, see the problem that we are facing right now is that after this matter went into the High Court, the court had ordered a freeze on recruitments. So, there was a moratorium, which is why the government, even if you wanted to try, because the court had frozen the process, there wasn't much that we could do. But despite that, today, Mr. Abhishek Banerjee has spoken to the protesters, he's heard their concerns, and the Chief Minister has also assured that we will try to, maybe it wouldn't happen for everybody right away, but at least whatever accommodations we can make right now, we are going to go ahead and expeditiously do that.
Okay. Saurav Sikdar, do you want to respond to what you've just heard Babul talk about? How the real human cost of this particular scam?
I have two questions, and I'm requesting the Trinamool spokesperson not to interrupt when I'll talk. Firstly, who is Abhishek Banerjee? Is he the Chief Minister of West Bengal, Education Minister of West Bengal, Education Secretary of West Bengal, or in what capacity Abhishek Banerjee called them and assured something? My second question is, why after 560 days? Why not the very first day when they started this agitation? This is totally right that merit listed candidate was not given the job and bribe was taken. Actually they sell the job. So now why Abhishek Banerjee called them today after this thing passed out and he has been recovered? Why today? Why not before?
Okay, I'm going to just stop you right. I'm going to stop you just right there for a minute. Saurav Sikdar, I apologize, but we do have some audio trouble with you. Your audio is crackling and we're going to try and fix that audio line so we can all hear you very clearly. But very quickly, Saket Gokhale, do you want to respond to what you could pick up?
First of all, who is Abhishek Banerjee? Abhishek Banerjee is an elected member of parliament, okay, from the state of West Bengal. I'm pretty sure the affected people also include people from his constituency, which is Diamond Harbour, number one. Number two, this is not the first time that we're making an outreach to the protesters, right? Because Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee in the past has also met about 1,700 of them. She has also reached out in these last 500 days. The third thing also is that, it's again like, look, the BJP wants to politicize this matter now because they're desperate. But ironically, if the BJP were so concerned about these aspirants, they've never raised the matter once in the assembly. They never once raised it in the parliament. The BJP has had a majority in the parliament for 7 years. If they were so concerned about the welfare of these aspirants, why did they bring it up in parliament?
Be that as it may, Pratim Bose, senior journalist, is also with us. How do you look at this? Like we said at the very outset as we introduced this story and sort of try to decode it for our viewers, this does hurt the Trinamool Congress. It does hurt Mamata Banerjee. Partha Chatterjee was among the top leaders of the Trinamool Congress, and this definitely doesn't augur well for her.
Obviously so. Obviously so. I mean, if we look at it chronologically, then the whole thing started from cancelling of 2012 teachers' examination, TET, they call it. And that was retaken in 2014, and the 90% of the complaint that is there is of that 2014 selection, of which the appointment started much later. So, and I remember there was a demonstration going on just in front of Kolkata Press Club, and a woman most probably delivered a stillborn. She was there, and then and the chief minister visited it also. So now, first thing is, no one can really wash off by saying that they didn't know. I mean, it had been going for too long.
Yeah, I want to say that our sitting demonstration is going on at the footprint of Gandhi statue near Mayor Road in Kolkata, not Press Club.
Okay. Okay.
No, there was a demonstration in front of.
Pratham Bose, complete what you were saying.
So that has been there. What had really damaged, you see, there have been many cases with central agencies and etc. You know it all. Now, why this case is different? Different because number one, one is its depth. You see, it's affecting these children.
Yes.
But even then, the government didn't react in time. They thought that they could just, I don't know what did they think. But the problem now is with those stash of cash coming out, the optic is seriously damaged. Earlier, whenever there was central agencies, and you know very well, the record is very bad of the cases not reaching any conclusive stage.
Yes.
And in the overall political environment, so you can always pass the buck and leave it there. But this time that whole cookie has crumbled. You know, when you see that had really damaged the whole thing, and that is what had necessitated the whole
it's a shot in the arm for the credibility of the ED, I have to say that. Whether or not all of this stands the test of legal scrutiny in a court of law still needs to be ascertained. But like I said, the optics definitely look really bad for the Mamata Banerjee government. Saket Gokhale, for a party, for a government, for an individual, Mamata Banerjee has been one of those flag bearers, who's tried to sort of write letters on behalf of opposition parties alleging that, central agencies are being used as a tool for political vendetta to target opposition. This, in a certain sense, doesn't augur well for that narrative as well, because the ED, in a certain sense, has exonerated itself of all those charges with what we're seeing on our screens right now.
Sorry, I mean, definitely if you look at matters, they go far deeper than ED taking out some cash and spelling E and D with that. So I would say, let's hold our judgment on the ED for now. Besides, look, it's not about optics.
But for a party, but like I said, for a party that has constantly targeted central agencies, what has been unearthed, the magnitude of the scam that has been unearthed here, like what Pratham Bose is saying, is serious. Like
I said, Chief Justice of India said last week, media trials, media runs kangaroo court. So let me put the facts out here. The ED has unearthed a huge amount of cash and jewelry from the house of a so-called actress named Arpita Mukherjee. That is the case as it stands right now. She is claimed allegedly associated with Partha Chatterjee. Where the money has come from, what the source of this money is, the ED has not said anything about that yet. Partha Chatterjee has been expelled as minister, has been suspended from all positions in the party. He, by the way, the Enforcement Directorate has not yet even made him an accused. He's still, according to them, a witness in the case, because all the recoveries are being happening. So let's not jump the gun and go about, the ED has uncovered a scam and this has happened and that has happened.
No, we're reporting the facts. We're reporting the facts as they are. And like I said,
cash has been recovered.
Like I said at the outset,
cash has been recovered at Arpita Mukherjee's house.
Absolutely. And like I said at the very outset, Saket Gokhale, a lot of this is again leaked information from ED sources that are claiming this is what Arpita Mukherjee said. So the point I made in the beginning, that all of this still needs to stand the test of legal scrutiny, I stand by that.
Second, if you're talking about leaked information, we remember how the Aryan Khan case went with leaked information.
Well, absolutely. Like I said, it still needs to stand the test of legal scrutiny. It does.
So leaked leaked information is something I don't give too much credence to.
Okay.
The ED
Saurav Sikdar wants to come in. Saurav Sikdar wants to come in.
Well, Arpita Mukherjee is no one in Trinamool. Just my TMC friend said. But she was often seen in the program sharing stage with Chief Minister and other big leaders.
Modi is being
no one of Trinamool.
Modi is being photographed with Neeram. Big deal, yeah. He goes to Durga Puja pandal. What does it mean photographed with Chief Minister? Modi has been, Mehul Choksi has been photographed with Narendra Modi.
Everywhere. People are just splitting on Trinamool. After this recovering of
Language, someone is a very disgusting language to use. The Bharatiya Janata Party has no scruples.
Keep your mind and say,
Don't speak like goons. I mean, you are goons, but don't speak goon by saying.
Okay.
It's very disgusting.
To get back their job, is no one in the government. He is not the chief minister. He's not the education minister.
You know, the other aspect of this story, which has been very interesting, Pratim Bose, and if you want to come in here, you know, is the questions that have been asked on the magnitude. I mean, we keep saying that this is the Enforcement Directorate's largest ever cash haul. And you know, it's the biggest ever scam, at least on the face of it, from the information that we have on present day. But, you know, just understanding the magnitude of this scam, it was very interesting even yesterday when Abhishek Banerjee held that press conference. There were questions that were asked on, you know, is it really possible for a cash for jobs scam to unearth the kind of money that we are seeing? Is there perhaps something larger at play here? You know, is the ED perhaps only scratching the surface of it? What do you make of, you know, this biggest ever haul, so to speak, that we're reporting on?
See, I'm by training, my training is in finance, okay?
Right.
And that subject I had been dealing for 30 years. So, you know, ill-gotten funds are rarely kept in cash. They are parked, there are vehicles, land, building, even retail, bullion, etc., etc. The cash part is primarily for the regular collection and disbursement. This is generally unknown. I am sure politics knows it much better than me, because that is allegedly a big source of such ill-gotten fund. So why, you know, so that tells the story, you know, that is what I was, my point is, I would love to believe that this is just the tip of the mountain. No one can really keep on buying flats and keep cash in that and then sit idle on that and expect some termite to eat into that. So that is very, very naive to think of. And the other things is that, look, the way it has been happening and the overall disbalance at the core of it is a very demand-supply game between jobs and the increasing number of educated youth. And overall, I know, you know, it is difficult to prove anything, but, you know, you can hear it. I am here. For very, very simple, small things like, say, a cook in a ICDS center to a contractual staff in a private company, everywhere this is rampant. And the payback, what I wonder is the payback is in a couple of years. You look at, you know, even if I consider whatever I hear about this, this particular scam, is if you look at the salary and the amount of money, then the payback is minimum 5 years. Okay. So this is because of the general demand supply gap, and also one has to, I'm not talking about any particular party, but one has to understand that West Bengal doesn't have the generally established source of funds, that is industry.
Okay.
It is very low.
Okay.
So I just want to add that all these things, the scale might be new now, but all these things had been there for last 30, 40 years. And I know
you raise several important questions, and there are really many more questions and answers at the moment. We will track this story very closely on NDTV. But before I slip into a short break, like I said, You know, this story is as much about this big scam as it is about those who've been impacted by it. And I want to leave you tonight with voices of those who lost their jobs to less deserving people because somebody accepted a bribe for them.
এই যে धरना अवस्थान आंदोलन चल रहा है, आज 502 दिन हुआ, ये कम नहीं। हम लोग को पहले से ही अंदाजा लग गया था कि 2019 साल के वक्त में लिस्ट पब्लिश होने के बाद 18 के बाद जो हम लोग का मेरिट लिस्ट में थोड़ा बहुत गलती है, लेकिन गलती इतना सारा है कि हम लोग को तब नहीं, पहले नहीं यकीन था।
हमारा नौकरी को कोई दूसरा कर रहा है जिसका कोई काबिलियत भी नहीं है उस नौकरी करने की।
पार्थ चैटर्जी को खुद आके हम लोगों को आश्वासन दिया था कि हम लोगों का जो मांग है जरूर पूरी कर दिया जाएगा, लेकिन आज 3 साल हो गया, हमारा मांग अभी तक पूरा नहीं हुआ।
We are struggling for the existence of our life. We need justice. We need appointment letters immediately for all merit listed candidates.